Hi everyone, Richard here at Calvin Wazoo with another video, and I'm catching up with some new acquisitions. I've had picked up some new records over the last couple of months, and I keep getting thinking, yeah, I'm going to keep getting around to doing them, and then the new records, the list keeps growing and growing and growing. So I'm kind of breaking them up a little bit into um, logical sequences. So with this one, it's mostly 70s records, maybe a few outliers in here that I picked up. And then there's another one that I'll do pretty soon that will be focused on some punk releases that I picked up. Nothing too, out of the world. So no sound samples, but stuff that I, wanted to get into my collection. First one is there is this reissue out now of Neil Young's On the Beach. It was a reprise recording, and let's see, when did this come out? It would have been 1974. All right, and it's a little bit different. I remember kind of passing this up because at that time I was very much into everybody knows this is Nowhere, After the Gold Rush, Harvest, America Stars and Bars, some Buffalo Springfield. So there was that was pretty much my focus in terms of Neil Young. And, so this one I didn't hear a whole lot about. I remember seeing it in the store and not picking it up. But this new reissue is really good. So we've got some great songs on here, and Ambulance Blues and the title song On the Beach. It's kind of representing an era in Neil Young's production, that's going through a lot of changes. I think about this time he was getting divorced from his first wife, I believe, the movie actress. And then, this was also, dealing with Danny Whitten, and his drug habit. Perhaps there was the overdose by then, 1974. Maybe that hadn't happened yet. It's got some notes here from Rusty Kershaw, who, in reading the biography Shaky, Rusty Kershaw was quite a character, and certainly musically was a significant influence on Neil Young. Behaviorally, I'm not sure it was a very good influence, but he was definitely a very crazy person. But anyway, yeah, so I've got On the Beach now in my collection, and I'm very happy. And then I saw this one, which a lot of people don't like, and that is this one, Landing on Water. All right, so in fact, Norman Maslow, I guess, I didn't see his video, but I think he dissed on this one because it was included in this compilation video by the channel Debbie Music is Life, where she did this montage of people hating on records, and one of the clips was Mazzy, apparently dissing on this one. And it is part of the Geffen years, okay? And certainly the Geffen recordings were the least liked by virtually all Neil Young fans. And none of them did well commercially. None of them really had any songs that got radio play. And the whole experience really pissed off David Geffen because he was hoping, that he was going to get Harvest, a continuation of that type of stuff. But there are some good songs here on this record. So it's not, to me, it's certainly not the strongest, strongest of his recordings. But of the Geffen years, I would probably say it's one of the strongest ones. It's not it's just not a bad album. I mean, he's taken a shot at Crosby, Stills, and Nash, for the Wooden Ships and with the song Hippie Dream. There's The Weight of the World, Hard Luck Stories. A lot of these songs, they are speaking to what was going, on in his life. And also at this time, there were a lot of things going on in terms of his experimentation with music. He had, I don't know if he had this was 1986. I'd have to double check if he was already I'm pretty sure he was in his second marriage by then, and with his second son. So you see, he had two sons with cerebral palsy. And so he got into this electronic phase, and he was also connecting with Lionel Railroad, Lionel Toy Trains. And he was working on a lot of electronic gadgets, and he was messing around with the synclavier at this time. So, Frank Zappa was also big into using the synclavier. And, Neil Young was infatuated with it as well and produced a lot of records that the synclavier was his primary musical tool. So you hear that influence with this record, but you still hear his guitar. While it tends to be overwhelmed by the way the mixes were done, you can still hear Neil Young shredding on the guitar. It's still there, and David Briggs and Elliot Roberts were involved, in this. Even though it was Neil Young and Danny Korchmar who had produced it, he probably pissed off Elliot Roberts and David Briggs that, he didn't necessarily work with them, but, I'm glad it's in my collection. I don't hate it, but it's far from, even being close to one of my favorites, but there are some good songs on that. And the other Neil Young, connections was this fellow, Nils Lofgren. So with this particular record, eponymous, he's got some very good songs on here. And so we've got, Ainsley Dunbar on drums, who played with Frank Zappa, who played with Journey, who played with the Ainsley Dunbar, what was that group called before he joined Zappa? And then we've got some additional backing vocals from Stu Gardner, with David Briggs engineered the record and also was in on the production with Nils Lofgren. So it's a really good, there's Dr. Bob and Shuggie, which I think might be a reference to Shuggie Otis playing on here. And recorded in one place is Falls Church, Virginia. There's some good songs on here, and I'm checking the asterisks on here. What the hell do they mean? And I don't know why these songs have asterisks on them. But, it was an interesting story with Nils Lofgren. He was primarily a guitar player, and then when he connected with Neil Young, and he played, I think on one recording with Crazy Horse, but he also did many other things. Was he on Tonight's the Night? I think he might have been on Tonight's the Night. But he was playing piano, which, you know, he didn't know how to play, but that suited Neil Young just fine. Neil didn't want musicians to outshine him. So from time to time, he would take a musician and have them play an instrument that was not their primary instrument. So with Nils Lofgren, that's what he did. He put him on piano as opposed to being on guitar. But eventually, you know, he became pretty good at guitar. So good record. I really like this one that I picked up. And then I picked up the another Crazy Horse record. So this one is this might be the last one with Danny. Yeah, this is, I think, the last record with Danny Whitten. Got that famous song on here, I Don't Want to Talk About It. Produced by Jack Nitzsche. So Jack Nitzsche was another one who did a lot of production work for Neil Young. And David Briggs would say, oh, all of Neil's best albums are ones I worked on, not Nietzsche. And, you know, Nietzsche played piano as well on a lot of the recordings with Neil Young. But yeah, this is a good one. I'm kind of thinking this was 1971, and this was probably, you know, just before Danny Whitten died. Nils Lofgren is on this as well, playing guitar, and of course Billy Talbot on bass and Ralph Molina on drums. Nice record. Then this little oddity I picked up. It is, we're talking 1966, and this is kind of an alternative cover. It says printed in USA, but a lot of what's written on here is in Spanish or Esperanto. Mendutuin diskon via loca disc vendejo recta de esp exterlans preso 598 pago per internacia postmandato. It's the Fugs. All right. So Ed Sanders, I had that record of Ed Sanders' Truck Stop, which is just this absolutely crazy, insane record that was one of these ones featured. Ed Sanders was featured in a lot of these Lost Leaders that Frank Zappa put together. But yeah, we've got Ed Sanders and Tuli Kupferberg, Ken Weaver, Lee Crabtree, Pete Kearney, Vinnie Leary, John Anderson. Some pretty interesting songs. Frenzy, I Want to Know, Skin Flowers, Group Grope, Coming Down, Dirty Old Man, Kill for Peace, Morning, Morning, Doing All Right, and Virgin Forest. The Fugs are fun. I like them, and they were very, very outspoken, very out front in terms of social messages in their music, particularly Ed Sanders, and sometimes the message was straightforward, and sometimes the message was just filled with sarcasm and irony. Definitely, the psychedelic era, neat stuff. This is not, I don't believe this was the original cover. I think there was a different cover, and this was just another pressing of it, at that time. From 1966, some old stuff. All right, and then moving along here is this record. All right, the new Johnny Otis show featuring Shuggy Otis, all right? So I knew about Shuggy Otis because he was the bass player during the Hot Rats session with Frank Zappa, and he was only 14 or 15 years old. And Shuggy would play with Johnny Otis, his dad, who had, a big band. And because he was underage and they'd be playing in these clubs, they would dress him up in this, with this hat and the dark glasses or whatever. He's as a teenager, he was a pretty big kid. He was probably close to 6 feet tall, I think. So he was, able to pass. Great bass player, amazing bass player on Hot Rats. And here, he's playing guitar. And I tell you, his guitar playing on here is really, really good. This record, in terms of its rating in the All Music Guide, it's like 3 stars, and then they mark it as something that it's not essential. But this is a really good record, all right? And I'm trying to think if... So yeah, Shuggy is playing guitar, and he plays some pretty badass guitar on here. And a lot of other people, on here. Earl Palmer on drums. You also get Nicky Otis and Talmadge Baker doing percussion. Singers, Linda Dorsey, Delmar, Mighty Mouth Evans, Vera Hamilton, Wendell D. Perry, David Pridgeon, Charles Williams. Great songs. It's on Alligator Records. So I got the Alligator label here. Sorry for the glare. But yeah, Shuggy Otis turned into quite the guitar player. He did have, I think, 1 or 2 solo records. I've been kind of keeping my eye out for them, but I haven't seen them. But, when I saw this, definitely I picked that up. My last record here, I figured I better get this into my collection. And, that is, Green Tambourine by the Lemon Pipers. And, classic song, Green Tambourine. This is, on Buddha Records, but it is a reissue. All right. And so I don't know from when, though. I mean, it's a fairly early reissue, I think. But, and I was listening to it, and it's okay, But then side 2. Oh, my God, side 2 rips, man. It just totally kicks ass. You've got Blueberry Blue opening it. Then there's the Shoemaker of Leatherware Square. Then 50-Year Void and Through With You. 2, first one's 5 minutes and 41 seconds. The next one's 8 minutes and 31 seconds. Really strong, long, psychedelic songs. So I was... At first, listening to side 1, it was kind of like, I wasn't all that thrilled with it. But side 2, I mean, these are the songs on here. I mean, yeah, Green Tambourine got the radio play and gave them, created fame for them. But side 2 on this record is really, really awesome. You should check it out. I'm sure you can listen to it on YouTube. There's videos out there of all of these different releases. So some of the new things that I've picked up in the 70s era, that one Neil Young is from 1980s, and then the Fugs is from, the late 1960s. But, some more, in the classic rock realm. Hope you enjoyed that. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and let me know what you think, about any of these. If there's anything else you might want to recommend, I always check out the comments. And as always, please remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.